Welcome to the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable, where authors from all walks of life come together to discuss the trials, tribulations, and triumphs of publishing their books. I'm your host, Corey. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, and PodServe, just to name a few. The Author Roundtable is sponsored by ReaderHouse Online Bookstore, where independent new authors come first. Author William T. Noland has written a thought-provoking guide to understanding true faith and living victoriously through Christ. The name of the book is Powerful Christian Living. Bill is right here with me now at the show. We're going to talk all about it. Bill, welcome. Thank you for being here tonight.
My pleasure.
Bill, can you tell me all about what you've written in Powerful Christian Living?
The book is about the significance of the term being born again. And the reason that I wrote the book, anticipating another question, would be in trying to disciple young Christians and even older Christians is to emphasize the supernatural aspect of what it means to be born again. The churches are full of people that are excited and are doing a lot of things in their own strength, but there is just not any spiritual power associated with the transformation of their lives or the transformation of the communities or of the world, to be frank. So that was the reason I wrote the book.
What sorts of readers do you think this would be best for?
Young Christians that are maybe skeptical about what they've heard about church, older Christians that are just not real satisfied with the amount of transformation that they might have been expecting when they meet God as Savior. It's all right there in Scripture, but it's not being taught, at least to my satisfaction, which is when I'm teaching Christians in Sunday school classes and discipleship classes and small groups, there's this stunned, glazed look that comes across people's faces. Well, do you know what it means to be born again? What is actually happening when you're born again? So drawing on my years of study and prayer and spiritual growth, I said, well, I couldn't find a resource that spelled it out the way I understood it, so I wrote the book.
Have you ever done anything like this before, or is this all kind of a new thing for you?
As far as writing, I do a lot of technical writing in my career as an expert witness for construction litigation. So that kind of experience led me to use the same techniques, logic, and evidence to make a point. As far as writing a book, no, never done that before.
Well, you put a lot of time, a lot of work into this. So once it was finally done, you're holding the first copy of Powerful Christian Living in your hands, Bill. What was that moment like for you?
What's next?
So what is next? Do you have some more planned?
Well, the what's next was a marketing plan that Christian Faith Publishing said they were going to put together, and that is why I'm talking to Corey today.
So now that it's out there, what would you consider to be the most rewarding aspect of this all for you?
The people that I have gifted, the book to have been very excited about it. And they have actually purchased the book and given it to their friends and to their relatives. And the feedback's been very positive.
Looking ahead, do you see yourself maybe writing and publishing more?
I'm not discounting the possibility of doing that. It's not a dream. It's not an unction that I have to do something more. But I'm just not discounting the possibility that I'm led to do something else. Just being obedient.
Well, we have a lot of aspiring authors listening to us right now, Bill. Do you have some advice that you could throw out there for them?
It's easier to write about what you know, and the key is to make sure you know what you know. You don't want to put something down in black and white where somebody can come back and go, Bill, you just absolutely missed this. This was wrong, this was wrong, this was wrong. You interpreted this wrong, you used the wrong scripture here. And so you've got to know what you know. Once you are confident in what you know, the words just come.
Well, it sounds like this book is definitely going to bless a lot of readers. Again, this is titled Powerful Christian Living. It's written by William T. Noland and published by Christian Faith Publishing. Pick it up at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, or traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Well, Bill, it's been really great talking with you today. Thanks again for being on the show.
My pleasure, as they say at Chick-fil-A.
This book centers around a group of bugs who decide to look past their differences to become friends. It's written by Carolina Gonzalez, and it's titled The Friendship of Insects. Carolina is here with me right now, and we get to talk all about it. Carolina, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining me today.
Oh, yeah, thank you. So this book title is because I'm taking child development class, and I'm working with the children like 10 and now 11 years. And I see sometimes the children, they don't want to play with other kids because it's something like they don't want to play because it's not play with theirs, or there is difference. That's why I put this title.
Carolina, what sorts of readers do you think this would be best for?
I think the support for social emotional, and the support because I'm teaching the kids, they don't make, everyone is unique. They don't have any difference for each, because I was learning from my dad and my grandpa every day. We need to respect the person, no matter what color, what skin, or what race it is. So this is why I would like to show love and reflection in my books.
When it comes to writing and publishing, Carolina, are you new to this, or do you have some experience in it?
No, I'm completely new. This is my first book.
Being your very first one, was this a long process for you overall, the writing and publishing and everything?
Yes, it's a long process, like 2 years.
You started working with your publisher, Haines Jenkins. Carolina, what would you say was the most challenging part about that publishing process for you?
I think the challenging is I speak English and I speak Spanish. And I would like to, the more person speak Spanish read too, because some person, they don't speak enough English. This is a little bit harder to the translation because I translate in Spanish, but sometimes the Spanish is not correct in the publisher, but now it's okay.
I'm looking at it right now, and something that's really important in a book like this is the illustrations, and they look really great here, Carolina. Was that a smooth process for you?
Yes, because it's exactly I want the illustration. So because they show the kids the emotions too, and they're like, I really love this story because they show the pictures. The kids like show pictures on this book. They understand what's going on. And in the end, they had the reflection and all the 4 characters play together. And that is what I want.
So you put a lot of work into this, and finally, it became a real thing. Your first copy was in your hands for the first time, Carolina. What was that moment like for you?
I feel like finally I got it. I'm really happy. I really enjoyed it because I worked really hard on this book.
And so now you're finally a published author. What would you say is the most rewarding aspect of it all for you?
For me, it's most rewarding is teaching. This is like, I can change the world, but maybe teaching to the young kids, accept other kids, this is like acceptation, no matter what the difference, because we are different persons in the world. Now, and reflection too, because I feel we need to reflection, because some of the kids just need to reflection about they don't make difference for the, again, race, colors, or because they don't want to play because you are different on me or different color skin. I want to give the correct message for the kids, and for adults, we need to accept each other, and we need to respect, and we need love your personality, love your beliefs, and love your community. The acceptation. This is the correct word.
Again, this book is titled The Friendship of Insects. It's written by Carolina Gonzalez, published by Haines Jenkins Publishing, and available pretty much everywhere: Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, and traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Carolina, it's been really wonderful talking with you tonight. Thank you again for coming on the show.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you very much. Good night.
Author David McElwee's new book, My Accidental Investigation, follows an unconventional group of allies who unite to end the reign of a predatory funeral director. The author, David, is sitting right here with me now at the show. We get to talk all about this book. David, welcome. Thank you for joining me tonight.
Thanks for having me, Corey. Appreciate it.
I'm curious about My Accidental Investigation, David. Can you tell me all about it?
I sure can. Well, My Accidental Investigation is a magical realism novel influenced by the field of psychology. Here's the overview. What does a serial predator whose camouflage is that of a devout funeral home director, a traumatized postal worker with a penchant for writing notes, and a 12-year-old girl with Down syndrome who draws her memories have in common? The answer is Dr. Stimps, a well-respected psychologist facing her mortality while embarking on a profound journey triggered by a seemingly innocent question. Do you want lifesavers from your guardian angel? That question is key to ending the predator's 26-year reign and transformed My Accidental Investigation into an unintended sequel pairing Dr. Stimps with quirky characters from my first novel, My Afterlife. My Accidental Investigation is structured so its chapters coincide with Dr. Stimps' weekly lecture during her final semester. Oddly enough, Corey, Dr. Stimps' role was initially conceived as a minor character. However, she evolved into the novel's narrator. Dr. Stimps will be missed.
David, what sorts of readers do you think would be really into this?
You know, I think the readers will identify with the story. It's for mature readers, first off. They should enjoy character studies with a twist of surrealism and a swirl of small-town antics.
So this is your second book. What does your writing background look like? Do you have a lot of experience in this?
Professionally, I was in a different field completely. I was in the human service field doing behavioral analysis and those kinds of things in the field of psychology. And when I took a break from the experience, it forced me to visit an idea I had 20 years ago on the initial book when I put together a CD called Ode to Smethport. It was a songbook kind of thing. And when I took a break 20 years later, I decided, well, let me drag up the characters from My Afterlife and write a book. And that's kind of how it transpired. So now I'm into it just kind of as a hobby, having fun, seeing what I can do.
So once you sat down and got started on this, was this a long journey overall, writing, publishing, and all that?
You know, it was. I liked the journey, quite frankly. The writing part of it took about a year, and then the publication part took about another year. So for me, it's a 2-year process, and I just kind of do a little bit at a time and kind of have fun with it. And what kind of keeps me motivated, Corey, is I like to set up downstairs on my porch on the table. I get the computer out. I get a bunch of pens. I get some paper out. I listen to a little bit of music. And I also put yard work tools on my table. So I write a little and then go trim the grass a little. And I guess writing and working on the yard are the same thing. They both take time to grow. So that's kind of been my experience as I'm involved in this world of writing now.
So have there been experiences in your life that have affected the way you wrote the book?
Well, I think with my background in psychology and being kind of from a small town, those two things kind of went together hand in hand to lead me to the writing process. I'm comfortable in those environments. So that's kind of how that worked out for me.
A lot of our listeners are authors just starting out. David, do you have some advice that you could offer to them?
Well, I'm probably not good with the advice, but I hear some things that I find useful for myself. Maybe others would find that also, is you have to find a mental lubricant to turn to when you're experiencing writing blocks. So for me, I like to do the yard work, which helps kind of percolate ideas. So I write a little and I do the yard work a little. The other thing I found is always reread and refine your work. For me, that's the hard labor in writing because it's repetitive but necessary. And then finally, I learned of critical importance is find a way to curb that nagging feeling that progress isn't happening quick enough. It'll go on its own.
Well, this sounds like a great novel. Again, it's titled My Accidental Investigation. It's written by David McElwee and published by Newman Springs Publishing. So pick it up at places like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, and traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Well, David, it's been great talking with you tonight. Thanks again for coming on the show.
Appreciate you having me, Corey. Thanks. Thanks for the questions. It was a good time.
Bullying is a huge issue, and the new book by Anna Marie Robinson follows a young girl who learns a valuable lesson about ignoring bullying and negative messaging. The book is What the Dream Witch Told Me. Anna Maria is right here with me now, and we're going to be talking all about it. Anna Maria, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
I'm curious about what the Dream Witch told me, Anna Maria. Can you tell me all about this?
Well, what the book is about is basically what you said in your introduction. It's a really heartfelt story that centers on a young refugee girl who is taunted and bullied in school because of her differences. The way that she looks, she speaks, she acts, she's just different from everybody else. Now, she feels rejected by her peers, and rejection to a school child is worse than death. So in desperation, she goes home that night and she makes a wish on a star that she could be someone else, somebody that could be accepted by the rest of the kids, and she could be in their group and play with them and have friends. It's a riveting story because she has an unbelievable adventure while she's dreaming. The Dream Witch takes her on a journey where she can try out different personalities, and this is where she learns some valuable lessons about loving herself and ignoring the bullies and not taking the negative things that they say to her personally.
I love that message. So this is a children's book then, primarily for children?
This is definitely a children's book. I kind of think it'll fit into, let's say, 5 to 10 years old. 5-year-olds might benefit from it if a parent reads it to them, because it is a little bit, a 5-year-old is not able to read it. But I think that the story and the message in the story can really benefit early grades like 1, 2, 3, 4. And, anybody that's experiencing bullying in school and taunting in school, which really definitely is happening, I think it can really help those children who are being bullied, but also on the other side to teach empathy and to have a little more feeling for these children who are different.
You've told this in a creative way, too, so how did this idea come about?
Well, the idea, I guess I have to kind of think back a little bit to when I arrived after World War II as a refugee. I was 7 years old, and I arrived with my mom. Actually, we arrived in Canada at the time. My mom had to go to work. She put me in school, which doesn't make a lot of sense when you think about it, because I couldn't speak a single word of English. And I guess I sat there in school, and the teacher did a letter, and I had to take the letter home and get someone to read it. And I told my mom that we can't teach her. She's not teachable until she learns the language. So for the first year, I spent at home by myself. My mom worked and tried to pick up the language. I was determined I wanted to go to school. So a little bit sad when you really think about it. The following year, I started school. But when I did, I've got to tell you, I was terribly, terribly bullied and taunted because I thought I was speaking quite well. Teacher said, yeah, I can stay in school. I'm teachable now. I thought I was doing quite well, but I guess it wasn't. Obviously, I had a pretty bad accent, and I still looked pretty different. And by now, I was a year and a half older than all the other grade ones. So I was tall, and I was big, and I was different. And I began to really think that there was something terribly wrong with me. And that negative self-talk kind of stayed with me all the way into adulthood, which I've had to work on it for a long, long time to change that. And so I can write a book. And if I can write a book, I can reach some of these children so that they don't have to go through all the pain and agony that I've gone through to help them. this is kind of my first book, my first attempt.
Well, this book has a wonderful message. I think it's going to help and encourage so many readers. Again, it's titled What the Dream Witch Told Me. It's written by Anna Maria Robinson, published by Newman Springs Publishing, and available pretty much everywhere like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, and traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Anna Maria, it's been great to talk with you and to learn all about What the Dream Witch Told Me. Thanks again for being here.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And I hope everyone enjoys the book.
Sitting down with me right now here at the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable is author R.B. Gaudette. His new book is titled Quince McCaw, Saving Latitude Heights. Randolph, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Can you tell me all about what readers are going to find whenever they get into Quince McCaw?
They're going to just find a good, wholesome family book. It's about a tycoon coming into this little town of Latitude Heights, and there's a macaw in the pet shop. His name's Quince, and he finds out about this plan about how they're going to get swindled. So with the help of his friends and some new friends he meets along the way, they have to figure out how to foil this plan and save the town.
What kinds of readers did you have in mind for this?
I'm shooting for the fourth grade level of reading, but I mean, if there's parents that like to read to the kids, there's a lot of characters in there. They can use their imagination and entertain their kids that way as well.
How did the inspiration come about for this? How'd you get the idea?
I was reading a book about birds, and they were going to do, I just came along the macaw, and then I came up with the character Quince, and then with the story, it just was a chapter by chapter. I just kept coming up with the ideas.
Is this the first time you've been published, or do you have experience in it?
No, this is my very first book. This is it. I'm almost done with the sequel to it as well, though, so that should be coming out here finished, and then start working on getting that published here shortly.
So once you sat down, got started writing Quince McCaw, was this a long journey overall, the writing and publishing and everything?
The writing, no. I love using my create. I got it done within a couple months. The publishing part was it was all new to me, so that's what kind of took longer.
Yeah, you were working with Covenant Books. What would you say was the most challenging part about the publishing process for you?
The editing and then making sure the cover was just right.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. The cover, the illustrations are so important in a book like this. Was that a smooth process?
At first, it was a little bit, my ideas were a little bit different than their ideas, but then finally we collaborated, and I drew some ideas of what I wanted, and then so we were able to work together and come out with that.
You put so much time, so much work into this, and then finally that day comes, and it's a real thing. You're holding the first copy of Quince McCaw in your hands, Randolph. What was that moment like?
It was exciting. It was a little unreal at first, but I'd been waiting for it, so I was just excited to get over. But, I mean, like I said, I was already now picturing the second one by that time.
So now it's out there. What would you say is the most rewarding aspect of this all for you?
The fact that I could do it, and then just gave me the confidence to start writing some more. So I got more ideas other than Quince McCaw, and it's just the confidence it gave.
So looking to your next book, is there anything that you would do differently the next time?
Not so much. Probably give it some more sense of humor, I guess. No, I'm pretty satisfied with the way the first one came out. But more humorous characters, I guess, is more what I'm shooting for on this one.
Well, so much of our listening audience right now is authors just starting out. Randolph, do you have any advice maybe that you could offer to them?
Patience, and then try to get non-biased readers, people to read it. That would give you an honest opinion.
So while you're writing, is writer's block ever something that you got to get through?
Yeah, there was a couple times, but I'd be at work and co-work. I used a lot of people in my life, and either it'd be someone co-worker or just a neighbor or something would do something funny or say something, and I'd go ahead and do a mental note and then not jot it down because it'd give me an idea of how to, so I'm always aware of the surroundings.
I've spoken with so many authors here over the years, and I've noticed how many of them also love to read. Randolph, would you call yourself a big reader?
I'll be honest, I don't. I mean, I read the Bible a lot now, but growing up I did and read Hardy Boys. And then my dad read Tom Clancy, so I'd pick up a couple of those and read into those.
Well, I think children are going to love this book. Again, it's titled Quince Macaw, Saving Latitude Heights. It's written by R.B. Gaudette and published by Covenant Books. So pick it up at places like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, or traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Randolph, thank you again for coming on the show. It's been great to talk with you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
The new book by Dr. Evan Mladenoff is titled, Doc, When Can My Kid Play? This is a comprehensive guide for parents, athletes, and coaches on managing recovery from a concussion. And Evan is right here with me now at the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable. Evan, welcome. Thanks for joining me tonight.
Oh, that's great. This is really, really super because this is Brain Injury Awareness Month, March. So this is impeccable timing.
Evan, can you tell me all about Doc, When Can My Kid Play?
Well, it's real simple. The first thing that happens when any athlete gets a concussion, they want to know, when can I play? Parents will bring in their kid and say, this and this and this happened. When can they play? It'll be a professional athlete. When can I play? That's the first and probably the only question they want answered right away. And then they want to know is like, okay, it's been a while. Nobody's helped. Is my child, is my spouse, are they ever going to be normal again? And so if it's not taken care of properly, that's the second question is, okay, when will they be normal?
Evan, would you say you've written this for those who are experiencing concussions or know people that are experiencing them?
Yeah, this would be great for someone who has had a concussion and is not getting help. Absolutely. This is great for parents and coaches that are dealing with, kids events, athletic events. I live in Kansas, so there's a lot of rural events where there's no, first aid available immediately. And so to be the first person there, you need a set of skills to be able to determine what should go on. So I wrote it as a broad spectrum, but also to tickle some doctors' fancies because I quote a lot of research in there because patients, they should go to ER first off if they have a concussion to rule out any, ominous event. But, there's lots of things that ER doesn't tell you because their job is to determine, okay, is this a life-threatening event? If it's not, okay, goodbye, good luck. And so I've written it for doctors so that they can get a handle on, okay, there are answers out there just because they went to ER and ER says they're okay, they're not okay.
Evan, what was that spark, that inspiration that made you say, hey, I got to sit down and write this book?
When my daughter was 2 years old, I came back from lecturing at the airport. Mom was holding her. We weren't ready. The baby lunged for dad. Nobody was ready. She fell and hit the ground head first. Fast forward 10 years. No, about 20 years. My wife is chaperoning my son's hockey team. I was on staff with the Kansas City Chiefs, so I couldn't go. They're coming home. The bus coming back from Chicago was an ice storm. The bus goes out of control, hits a lamppost that's literally buried 6 feet in concrete. My wife's face planted. A 3/4 piece of plexiglass behind the driver broke it in half. She had 7 facial fractures. Fast forward, my son is playing Division I men's college hockey. He had 3 concussion events, didn't tell anybody. Why? Because he wanted to play. Fast forward to 2017, I'm pedaling my bicycle, doing a workout at a high speed. Just started a sprint. I looked down, I'm going 25 miles an hour, and I also looked down and a car ran a stop sign, plowed me over. My head bounced off the pavement 3 times. There was 11 fractures in my helmet. And so those are all the guiding factors. But the unbelievable thing is my daughter got hired by a former NFL player. She's a chiropractor also, to open a concussion care clinic in Phoenix, Arizona. This would be actually 2016, just before I had my head trauma. And so the good news is within 15 minutes of my head trauma, my son, the doctor, was there starting the protocols that we had developed because my daughter was hired by a former NFL guy. And so I got better. And then we all kind of looked at each other and said, we need to tell everybody what just happened here and how there are answers for families who are struggling with concussions. And I'm here to tell you, there's lots of families that are struggling because nobody has the answers, and ER, doesn't tell them everything they need to know. For example, symptoms may not show up for 72 hours. You may have residual brain problems a year after the head trauma. They don't give you recommendations for return to play, return to learn.
Well, this is definitely an important book. Again, it's titled, Doc, When Can My Kid Play? It's written by Dr. Evan Mladenoff and published by Newman Springs Publishing, so you can pick it up basically everywhere. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, and right down the street at your local bookshop. Evan, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been great to talk with you.
Thanks for having me, and don't wait. Concussions don't wait. They march on.
Author Anita E Martin has written a celebration of God's intentional design in pairing every child with their mother. The name of the book is God Gave Me Life. Anita is right here with me now at the show, and that's what we're going to talk about. Anita, welcome. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you for the opportunity to spend some time with you. Appreciate that.
Anita, can you tell me all about God Gave Me Life?
This book was started as a poem that was written years ago, and it sat on the shelf for about 5 years with no direction on where it was supposed to go. I had the connection with God, and He guided me through pretty much every step of it, but I didn't understand where it was supposed to progress to. So here about a year and a half ago, I had the opportunity, a blessed opportunity, to do a walkthrough at a pregnancy and health center locally. And it occurred to me that with a little bit of adjustment, the book was perfect to give to mothers that are being mentored, the moms that choose to proceed with motherhood, that journey. The book would help them to remind them what a gift God gave them and to support them through that journey. So I have written it a little bit different, modified it, given glory to God for the initial pairing, and to basically thank Mom for making that choice and raising them both. The bigger part of this, it was always about giving God the glory. I dedicated the book to God. It wasn't written or done for me as the opportunity, I want to write a book and make a bunch of money. I don't expect to make money. I want to give God the glory. I wanted the opportunity for people to know that it's such an amazing option or choice that they made. And the outcome or the end result is what a beautiful ending to the story is, having that child that they have in their arms that just absolutely completes their life.
Anita, have you done this kind of thing before, or is this kind of all a new thing for you?
This is something I've worked off and on since my 50s. I'm mid-60s now, and I've written a few other things, a poem about Jesus that's having music added to it to become a song, and then a couple other stories that I'm working on called Growlers, and another one called The Hidden Glen, that are different age groups. But this one was my heart. This one is the one that I thought about constantly and asked God consistently, where is this going? Why was this written? What am I supposed to do with this? And just one day it clicked. He answered my prayers and said, okay, this is the direction you're going to go. And now I'm sitting in that position where the book is published, it's done. I'm still sending prayers asking, okay, we've gotten this far, God. I understand and I understand why. I just don't understand how. So that prayer is still out there. One thing that I did do is set up a Give, Send, Go to collect funds to purchase the books wholesale, to donate them to said pregnancy and health centers, women and children's shelters, different places that support moms to be, and give them the opportunity to hand out the books to those future moms or current moms even, to bless them. So I'm also working on that. So there's a couple different directions I'm working with it, but this is my heart's calling. And my big thing was I didn't want to not fulfill the calling that I felt God gave me, and this is the outcome of it.
You know, we have a lot of authors listening to us right now, and they're just starting out. Anita, do you have advice that you could offer to them?
I would say listen to your heart. Again, if you go into this with the mindset that sometimes it's not about you, sometimes it's the end result that God is guiding you to, and you keep that in mind, listen to what your heart tells you and listen to what God tells you, and in the end, the result is amazing.
That's great advice. Well, this book will definitely be a blessing. Again, it's titled God Gave Me Life. It's written by Anita E Martin and published by Christian Faith Publishing. Pick it up at places like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, and traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Anita, it's been really wonderful talking with you tonight and learning all about God Gave Me Life. Thank you again for being on the show with me.
And thank you again, and God bless for allowing me this opportunity to share my heart out there to the public. Thank you.
When Chaos Calls, A Journey Through Pediatric Emergencies. That's the name of the new book written by Dr. Christopher J. Haines, and it offers an inside look at working in pediatric emergency medicine. The author, Chris, is sitting right here with me now at the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable, and we get to talk all about it. Chris, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Likewise, I'm very excited to be here.
Chris, I'm excited to learn about When Chaos Calls. Can you tell me all about it?
This is a book that comes from a long time. It really started with something that my mentor told me to do when I was in training. And when I've come home at night after my shifts, I've written almost every night for most of my career. And it really spans my career, expands. My stories are not different than anyone else's. We all see this in pediatric emergency medicine. But many of the cases really focus on not only what's going on with the kids, but a lot of the social issues as well. So from gunshots to overdoses to some funny stories and just a variety of things that we see every day. And it kind of spans humanity. And it really tells you a lot about what we do every day.
Chris, who did you write this for? What kinds of readers do you think would be really into it?
I think this is for just about anyone. Someone that is interested in what we deal with in the emergency department. So just everyday person, certainly someone in the healthcare field as well, someone going into pediatric emergency medicine and or emergency medicine or just healthcare as well. And just anyone that really wants to see what medicine is really like, really behind the scenes and what we really deal with. Most people never see it. They don't know. And I think it's worth people getting a glimpse and really understanding what physicians do every day. Many of my colleagues, including myself, we give up a lot of time. There's a lot of sacrifice. There's a lot of evenings, overnights, both the physicians and the nurses. And I think it's worth really showing what we deal with every day.
Have you ever done anything like this before as far as writing and publishing, or is this something kind of new for you?
This is new. It took a long time. It took over 5 years to do, but it was a really great experience, and I've really loved it.
So you had your manuscript ready. You started working with your publisher, Hawes and Jenkins. Chris, what would you say was the most challenging part about that publishing end of things?
I think really getting it to the publication was challenging for someone that had not done this before. Really going and reading the manuscript over and over again and going back and getting through that, it's very much a challenge. And making sure it's clean, making sure there are no mistakes. And also when we did this, we had to walk through some challenges where, privacy of patients and, things were changed slightly just to protect privacy and making sure we did that effectively.
Well, after all that time and work that you put into it, that day finally came, it was a real thing, and you're holding the first copy of When Chaos Calls in your hands, Chris. What was that moment like for you?
It was very exciting. I think actually my family may have been more excited than I was. My father was amazingly excited. I think he ran to Barnes & Noble and wanted to see if he could go purchase the book. But I think in a way, this was cathartic for me. And I think it's also a lesson for other physicians. There's very much a lot of burnout in the world of emergency medicine. And this was a tool for me. And it was a way for me to protect myself in the process. We compartmentalize and we see a lot of bad things in our career. And there are some bad things that are in this book. And there are a lot of good things in this book as well. But for me, I'm very proud of the book. And I would love people to read it. But it was very much a challenge. But in the end, I think for me, it was almost like medicine for me as well.
And now that it's out there, people are reading it, what would you say is the most rewarding aspect of it all for you?
I think the most rewarding is I've had people come back to me and say that, wow, they had never really realized what we do on a daily basis. And many of us spend a really long time working. And, the media has spun medicine in not so good ways at times. And I think it has given them a different viewpoint that really being in the trenches can be really challenging. We miss a lot of holidays. We miss a lot of overnights. There's a lot of burnout. Unfortunately, there's a fair amount of mental health and some suicide in this field. and really understanding and having a little more empathy for the medical world.
Well, this is definitely a great book. Again, it's titled When Chaos Calls, A Journey Through Pediatric Emergencies. It's written by Dr. Christopher J. Haines, published by Haws & Jenkins Publishing. So pick it up at places like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, and traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Chris, thank you again for coming on the show. It's been really good to talk with you.
Likewise, thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Joining me right now at the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable is author Amy Kozlowski. Amy, welcome. Thanks so much for being here.
It's my pleasure to be here this evening. Yes.
Amy, you have a new book out titled I'll Always Love You. Can you tell me all about it?
Well, it is the effort of my poetry writing. And as a grandmother, I have several grandchildren, and thinking about them and their antics at a certain ages, these pages tell a little bit about the antics, but the theme, obviously, the title is I'll Always Love You, and it's no matter what you do, I'll always love you. And it really stems from even more than just the grandmother's love. It's because, no matter what I do, God always loves me. So I'm just trying to convey that thought as a grandmother. So that's how I do it in poetry.
Amy, what kinds of readers do you think this is best for?
Oh, families with kids, moms and dads can read it to their little ones. And of course, the grandmother can read it to her grandchildren. And that's, talking as a grandmother. But I think kids relate to that, whether they hear it from their parents or their grandmother or their grandfather even. So any family member, any friend, it's suitable.
So what was that spark, that inspiration that made you say, hey, I really want to write this book?
Well, I write poems about my grandkids all the time, and this one in particular was kind of a compilation of thoughts of different antics, like I mentioned, and when I wrote it, I presented it to my son and his wife, and they encouraged me said, it sounds like a kid's book. And my husband, of course, was very supportive and said, just do it. So I did.
Have you ever done anything like this before, or is this all kind of new for you?
This is new, my first book, obviously, but, I write a lot of poems, so usually about the grandkids, not always, but I certainly have others standing in line, poems waiting to be put into a book at some point.
So once you decided to publish this, was it a long journey overall?
No, not really. I would say it was maybe 7 or 8 months, but, in the grand scheme of things, that's not a long time. And, working with the publisher they made it very workable and easy and fun. So it was a fun journey and a learning experience for sure. But, I don't consider that a long journey.
I could only imagine what was going through your head and what you were feeling whenever you were holding the first copy of I'll Always Love You in your hands. What was that like, Amy?
Well, just like, wow, it really is happening. It's done. It's here. So it was just a very exciting time, to see something that you've worked on and enjoyed and loved, and to see it actually just there before you and hold it. Yeah, it was quite an experience.
As you look ahead, Amy, do you see yourself writing, publishing more?
Oh, boy. I have, like I said, a repertoire of poems, so I'm just kind of seeing how this goes. I would love to, of course, but, it's a journey, and I'm taking it step by step. We'll see how I'm led and what's in store, what's ahead. Yeah.
Well, so much of our listening audience right now is authors just starting out. Amy, do you have some advice that you could offer to them?
Oh, just hang in there and keep at it and have fun with it. That's, I think, the whole thing about, and if you want to consider being an author a job, if you can't have fun, you shouldn't be doing it. And that's how I looked at my other jobs I've had, whether it's time to move on or do something different. It's got to be something that your heart is in. publishing a book is the same motto. You have to be into it and enjoy it.
What a beautiful book. Again, it's titled I'll Always Love You. It's written by Amy Kozlowski and published by Christian Faith Publishing. So pick it up basically anywhere, like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, or traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Oh, Amy, it's been really wonderful talking with you and learning about I'll Always Love You. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Well, thank you for having me. I have enjoyed the time as well, and I hope people will pick it up and enjoy it and have fun.
The new book by Michael McDaniel is titled Stratus, and it invites players into a richly imagined tabletop role-playing world. Michael is right here with me now at the show, and we get to talk all about it. Michael, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Corey. I really appreciate it.
Michael, I'm curious about Stratus. Can you tell me all about what's going on here?
Yes, sir. This is it's a game. To the best of my ability, I've handed off the outline for what players would need to create a world of their own making. So if you can think of a book or a movie or a video game of personal interest and then convert it into a game you can play with friends and family, this would be it.
Would you say this is a book for people who are already familiar with the role-playing games?
Oh, I hope this is the perfect combination of people who are very familiar and people who have never, ever put their toes in the water. This should be exactly what anyone needs, from experience to newcomer.
And what sort of an age range would you say this is best for?
This really it's more lined for the person that is generating the story. So if you have a younger audience, you can tailor it to them so that it's less PG and more G. Whereas if you have a group of experienced players who want to be in the trenches of World War II, obviously you're getting closer to rated R. So any age, really.
So how'd you get the idea to do this?
I would say that the creativity and the imagination that God gave me would be the number one. I had a close group of friends that were interested in playing a game. And they asked me, they said, hey, this game we're playing doesn't allow me to do the character design, the idea that I had. Would you be willing to make something for me that fits the narrative? And I started on that, and it just kind of grew and grew and grew. And I said, shoot, I just might as well make it myself. So I did.
Now, when it comes to writing and publishing and all of that, do you have experience in it, or is this kind of a new thing for you?
Oh, this is absolutely brand new to me. I haven't attempted this before.
And so once you sat down and got started on it, was this a long process overall for you, the writing and publishing, the whole thing?
Very much so. This has been in process for almost 10 years. I've always written little things just for fun for myself and thought maybe I would attempt a novel, but this has been a very long work in progress.
So you had your manuscript ready and you started working with your publisher, Christian Faith. Michael, what would you say was the most challenging part about that publishing end of things?
Really, it was taking my ideas and converting thoughts into words. There's a lot that goes into, hey, how do I write a rule book that allows you to play my game without being so restrictive that you can't make it your own thing? And Christian Faith have been so patient. The tools they gave me were excellent. I have a lot of respect for Christian Faith Publishing and their representatives that I dealt with. I love those guys and gals.
I can only imagine what you were thinking whenever the first copy came in and you were holding Stratus in your hands for the first time, Michael. What was that moment like for you?
I got to be honest, Mr. Corey. I came home with my newborn roughly a week and a half before I got the first copies. And the amount of joy that I felt in that moment of holding the two greatest accomplishments of my life in my arms at the same time, I cried. I cried like it was my newborn entering the world all over again. It's my second child, so to speak.
I'm looking at it here right now, and the cover looks amazing. Was that a smooth process for you to get that all put together?
Oh, it was so easy. Again, Christian Faith Publishing, this top tier, chef's kiss. I love these guys. They asked me about the book cover. They asked me if I had an artist in mind, and I told them that I knew someone, but they weren't going to be available, and I was hoping that they had somebody. And they had a whole team. I gave them a general description of what I had in mind, and this is what you're holding in your hands The cover that you're looking at is the very first one they sent me. And I was blown away by it to the point that I didn't want to look at any others. I didn't want to overthink it. It's incredible. I was blown away by these guys.
This sounds like a great book, a great game to play. Again, it's titled Stratus. It's written by Michael McDaniel and published by Christian Faith Publishing. So find it at places like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, or traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Well, Michael, thanks again for coming on the show. It's been really great to talk.
I really appreciate the time and opportunity, Mr. Corey.
We hope you enjoyed this edition of the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable, where authors from all walks of life come together to discuss the trials, tribulations, and triumphs of publishing their books. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, and PodServe, just to name a few. The Author Roundtable is sponsored by ReaderHouse Online Bookstore, where independent new authors come first.